If you're like me, you've heard this story 1,000,000 times. And if you're like me, you're happy to hear it again. This is a story about two of the things I love most in the whole world: community and soup. Once there was a pair of travelers who found themselves in a new neighborhood they'd never visited before. Usually, when they found themselves in a new neighborhood they'd never visited before, they'd find a group of friendly-looking people and say hi. This was a great way to learn about the best local places to get tacos. But in this neighborhood, there were no groups of friendly-looking people. The people in this neighborhood didn't seem friendly at all. No one was talking to each other. No one was even making eye contact. The people the visitors saw just rushed along on their way to wherever they were going. But the visitors had an idea. The next time they saw someone rushing down the sidewalk trying not to make eye contact, they made sure to maintain 6 feet of physical distance from her, and they waved their arms and said, excuse me, could you stop for a second?" "Yes, I'm sorry, I'm really in a rush. We're very hungry. Could you give us—" "Oh my, I'm so sorry. I only have a very little food myself, and I'm afraid I can't help you. Goodbye." But the visitors said, "Oh, well, actually, we weren't going to ask for any food. It's just, we have this magical soup stone, and we were going to make stone soup. We just need a pot to cook it in, and since you don't have very much food of your own, we'd be happy to share some stone soup with you." The woman they'd met was very surprised. "Oh, well, that's very kind. I suppose I do have a pot you could use. Wait here just a moment." And the woman they'd met rushed along home to fetch a soup pot. When she returned, the visitors placed the soup stone in the pot and covered it over with water. They placed it on the barbecue grill they'd brought with them and cranked up the heat. Attracted by this curious sight, another neighbor stopped to look. "What are you doing?" "We're making stone soup, and you can't have any. I get to have some because we're using my pot." The second neighbor peeked into the pot at the boiling rock. "This is soup. It is magic." "Oh, yes, it is. It'll be ready soon, and we're all going to have quite a feast. Doesn't it smell wonderful?" The new neighbor wasn't so sure. "Oh, you know what might just perk it up just a little bit? An onion! I love onions! Big, stinky onions that bring tears to my eyes." "Well, I have an onion. If I include the onion in the soup, could I have some soup?" "Of course." "Of course, I guess." When he returned with the onion, he had another neighbor with him. "Hey, I told my friend here about the soup, and they brought me some celery. Can they have some soup?" "Amazing. I love celery." "Fine." And slowly a crowd gathered, and word started to spread about the magical stone soup. Soon, neighbors were saying things like, "Here, let's put in a potato.
I brought some salt and
Can
pepper.
you put pickles
I learned how to
in
make this
soup?"
sourdough bread on Instagram."
By the time the sun had started to set on the little neighborhood, people had brought out chairs and tables and blankets to sit on. The magical stone soup had grown to fill many, many pots, as folks from all over the neighborhood added squash, lemon juice, mushrooms, olive oil, thyme, jalapenos, beets, corn. A table was set to the side with optional foods for people who wanted to add them to their bowls. Somebody had brought some cashews, which the whole neighborhood agreed should be left out of the soup because some people might have an allergy to tree nuts. A piece of beef was kept out of the soup at the request of a vegan with a mustache. And of course, at the center of the table of optional foods was a big bowl of cilantro, the most controversial food of all. Music played, people met their neighbors, fireworks lit up the darkness, just like they do every single day. And when it was time to pack up the tables and chairs, the two visitors to the neighborhood found the first woman they'd met, the one who'd lent them her pot, the one who had not been very friendly at first. "Hey, Karen, thanks for letting us use this pot. If you hadn't been so generous, we wouldn't have had this beautiful gathering. As a token of our gratitude, we want you to keep the magical stoop stone here in the neighborhood." "Oh, my goodness, that's so kind, thank you. But to keep the magic flowing, you have to promise to use it regularly. And remember, the magic works best when all the neighbors come together." And Karen promised, because she had seen the magic for herself. And so ends the story of Stone Soup. If you're like me, you've now heard this story 1,000,001 times. And if you're like me, maybe you're feeling just a little bit hungry.